This week on Side Projects, let's take a little garden tour and see what we're up to out here. All right, here's our beans, green beans, our bush beans. They're set to grow up these very nicely. Here we've got our tomatoes. Tomatoes have been growing nice and tall. I've been picking off all the new growth in between everywhere until they got up to this point here, because then they can come over the edges and start flowering up here. You can see I've got some nice tomatoes. This is as big as they're gonna get. That's just the variety of tomato. It's the Everglades tomato. The Everglades tomato is it does very well in this area. And the Everglades tomato only shares about 5% of its genetic material with other tomatoes because it's not one of the factory farm types. This is just 4 tomato plants. Here we have sunflowers. Grown up quite nicely. Another sunflower patch. These are our peanuts. They have not sprouted yet. Hopefully they will soon. Those were peanuts that I planted earlier in the season. They've come up quite nicely. We've got our potatoes here. They are suffering and will continue to suffer until they die because they cannot survive the summer here. Too hot, too humid. These are the sweet potatoes that I planted. They're doing well. They've grown several new shoots. Just need to wait for those to get a bit longer and I can chop them up and replant those shoots, just like I did with these guys. These are an ornamental sweet potato I got from a neighbor. And I rooted them and planted them in the ground here in this strip. I'm planning to go all the way out over there. Here we are at our newly planted dragon fruit. Got 8 new pots of dragon fruit. Made more. Put 3 more in this pot here, 4 more. Here we have the bamboo, which has started throwing new shoots. They're small, but they're everywhere. As long as I keep them wet, they'll do good. The citronella's been taking off. Been going crazy ever since I topped them. See the end over there? I cut that end off, and then it shot into other areas. The growth shot into other areas. Those tomatoes aren't doing super well underneath that tree. Just don't get enough sun. But they are healthy. They're just not doing nearly as well as the tomatoes over there. The cowpeas have been growing quite a bit. They're getting pretty big. They're getting too big. And because of that, I had to put this little fencing down here to prevent them from falling over like this guy has. Don't want them attacking other things. Got a couple of little pineapples coming. The cactuses here have shot off new fruit. All of these are new. They've shot off some new leaves too. They're really liking this irrigation system I got going on. Bananas are doing well, growing their new leaves. Just want them to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Habaneros are about an inch and a half tall now. They're actually much slower growth than I thought. You know, once they get tall enough, I'm gonna have to snip a bunch of them and leave 1 per pot because they're not gonna do well with others. Oh, and look at this little lizard right here. They're little ninjas. All right, let's take a trip up front. Okay, so in front of the house now, and these are the sunflowers that we've planted out front. They're pretty small compared to the ones in the back. They don't get nearly as much water and not as frequently, but they're coming along. And here's some more on the other side of the yard. Each of these sticks has sunflowers at it. That one's pretty big. Very nice. And up here at the very front of the house, I went ahead and planted a whole bunch of sunflower bushes, different types of sunflowers. I put 3 seeds in each hole, and only about half of them have popped up, but that's good enough. I can transfer seeds around. There should only be 1 plant in each of these little holes, so in the end. Look at those. Those are pretty big suckers right there. Considering that they're only like a week old. There's a patch with all 3, very nice. Cactus garden's doing well. It's liking the irrigation that I've been pumping into it. This one's actually running 4 times a day, just for a few minutes each time, but it needs a lot of water, and there's no way I was gonna get out here in the middle of the day every day to water it. It runs on a hose here. I can bury that hose underground, but nobody walks through here but me, so it's not really a problem. And it just comes over here to a timer. Works great. Oh, and as for watering these sunflowers, I use a watering can and a bucket. I just turn on the hose, it fills up the bucket. I come by with the watering can and water each of them. Let's go take a look at the new plants. These here are my tomato starts coming off of those tomatoes out there. They're just developing their root systems right now. These are some citronella leaves that I popped off, and I just put them in water, and that's been keeping them, I don't know, they've been here for about 2 weeks, so it's not surprising that a few of them have dried out. But these are still good to rub on the skin to get mosquitoes to go away. These are just smaller tomato sprouts. And these are my citronella starts, and I don't think that they're going to develop roots quickly enough. I think they're just going to die. I'm not sure what I can do differently, but I don't think these guys are going to survive. That's all right. The citronella plants in the back are doing fine, but I was hoping to have extra citronella plants from this. This week I've been fixing up our gas tank. It has an old problem with it that is going to continue flaring up no matter what we do, because metal has a memory. So no matter how many times I fix it, the heat of this thing is going to cause some flexing that always creates a hole. So we bought a new one, but we have to wait for it to come before I can put it back together. I'm not sure how many irrigation systems that I had in the last video, but right now I've got one over there that handles the beans and the tomatoes. I have a second one that handles both groups of sunflowers there. I have a third one back here that handles this garden, especially the cowpeas and the cactuses, and a fourth one that's up there in the cactus garden up there. And I don't know if I had this one set up, but you can see here that it runs underground right there, and that this half runs underground, and they join up, and then they go over there to a hose, which goes to the timer.